You are watching Psychic Witch Talk, hosted by Christine Rossi and Diana Rachel, shot at the Mystic Dream in Walnut Creek, California. All right, hi, and welcome to the latest edition of Psychic Witch Talk. I'm Diana Rachel.
Christine Rossi.
We are both psychic readers at the Mystic Dream in Walnut Creek, California. So today we are doing the second half of Magic 101, walking you through the different shiny objects around the shop and how you can potentially use them. And unfortunately there's way more than we could shoot in a half-hour show, so we're just kind of giving you the gloss over. If you really want them, you're going to either have to go to themysticdream.com to order them, or just come in the shop and maybe see one of us for a reading.
That would be nice. I would love to see you.
Yes, or any other members of the Mystic Dream Psychic Guild. So for today, we picked where we left off is the wand. So, and this is actually something, yes, this looks like something that Buffy the Vampire Slayer would use. And when I picked it up, the first thing I asked is, where's City Hall and where's the mayor? But for those of you that aren't quite so geeky, traditionally a wand is basically used as a way of conducting energy. So when you see, for example, if you watch the show Merlin and you see him waving a wand around, although usually it's like light coming out of his eyes or something on that one, but what you do is you actually imagine that beam of light going through the wand in the directions you want, creating the shapes that you want.
Oh, the Harry Potter, too.
Yeah, the Harry Potter thing. Leviosa. And
yes.
If something floats, I will freak out because that is not how physics work.
Everybody be signing up right away. You say Leviosa, then everything, people would be signing up quickly for class.
It would make the parking garage obsolete, which would be awesome. But so that's what this is for. A lot of the times there's different woods. It depends on the tradition you practice. I think that wands are mostly popular with people that practice druidry and Celtic. I think mostly druids like the wands. Some Wiccans do, yeah.
Mostly, I would say it's an individual choice because there are some belief systems where you don't need the wand, all you need is your hand. And you just use. And that's what I do. And
a lot of the time, I use my hand. If I need to do something a little more precise, I use a pen. I literally use anything around here.
For a point.
Yeah. I know. My first wand was a stick that I found and whittled myself. Ooh. And then I strapped a crystal to it. And I still have the crystal. I don't know what happened to the stick. Probably something untoward. But the crystal I still use all the time because, I mean, it's a special relationship.
Yeah.
And so that's the wand.
We up?
Yes, we are up. So welcome again to Psychic Witch Talk. And we have the lovely Leah Nicely with us now, who's just come in to join us and talk about the random shiny objects here.
Yes.
And we gave Christine a knife.
Yes, they did. They gave me a knife. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Yes. Well, we use this. This is called an athame, in the same order that you would use a wand. And so if I was casting a circle, then I would cast it all the way around. Of course, you can't see it because it's out of camera, and then back again. But I would basically hold it in front of me and then turn my whole body and do that. And you don't want to use a kitchen knife for that.
Well, you can in a pinch, but it's a double-edged weapon.
It's something about not being touched by blood.
Yeah.
It's not supposed to be. It's supposed to be a virgin knife. So if you just bought a knife set, you could probably use a knife out of your knife set. But
and
I like the fact that it has a sheath on it, and you can make sure that nobody gets hurt while it's being stored on an altar or in a drawer or something like that. And when you get ready to use it, then you just pull it out.
And I would like to point out that in some states double-bladed weapons are illegal to carry, and this is not the kind of thing that you should take through airport security. Always put it in a check bag.
Can you imagine having to explain all of that? Yes, I don't think that would be a good idea. Yes, that would definitely have to get packed in a bag.
So, but yeah, that's important to know. I know some people don't like leaving their holy objects in the hands of the TSA, but your choice is that or shipping it to yourself ahead of time. You got to pick one sometimes.
I figure if you're doing a ritual in another place that you had to fly to go to, then you're probably going to be packing all those tools and sending them that way.
Yeah.
You know.
So what do you typically use, or do you use any tools for?
Oh, I love tools. I mean, I
Okay.
don't have to use them. They're just so much fun.
Yeah, shiny.
Yeah.
Shiny. Pretty.
So I have some athames. When I turned 18, one of the first things I did was to buy an athame. My mom knew I was buying it. She was actually here, and it was sort of a kind of an occasion. But
Oh,
yeah,
that's very cool.
I use it to
It's
harvest.
very rare.
Yeah.
I use it to harvest like sacred herbs in my garden, and things like that.
Cool. Yeah.
And
a good
then
idea.
I can use it in like a ritual, like a full ritual. And yes, you can use it to cast a circle. I find that I enjoy using an athame to cast a circle during like a more protective working, when I'm working for like protection or self-defense, or than when for. Because then I'll use like a wand if I'm doing like healing or something like that. Unless I'm attacking a cancer, in which case, yeah, let's use
Then
the
use the
athame.
knife. Yeah.
And I've used it for doing exercising. So when someone had a spirit that was attached to them, and used to cut all that energy, and then send it right into where it needs to go.
Yeah.
And literally taking the athame and taking all that energy and then grounding it.
Yeah.
So it has worked very well for that.
And I like to use a crystal to ground it too when I do that sometimes. Or sometimes I'm just like, you in the crystal now. So, but they're cool tools for that kind of
They
thing.
are. Yeah, they're a lot of fun.
So one that we're not showing here, and it depends on the tradition, the Wiccan tradition I was initiated into, you had the athame for all of your magic except your herb gathering. And that one we used a curved knife called a boline. And I think it was related to some mythology about the plants being sacrificed so that humans could live, and part of the Sabbath cyclical mythology.
That's really cool. I
And-
didn't know that.
Yeah, and I actually wrote about this a little bit in a book that I wrote for Llewellyn on their Mabon Sabbath series.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, Mabon is Kermit's confused little brother. Mabon is a Wiccan holiday that falls on the fall equinox. And it is actually very much enmeshed in divine king and sacrificial methodology. In the more expansive view, it would include Jesus, actually, because he died so everybody could live. Well, there was a bunch of other guys that had to do the same thing, and so the relationship with the athame and the boline actually comes back to that.
Wow.
So
History.
yeah, sometimes I'm occasionally a font of semi-useful information.
Turns out I have one. I've just been calling it mini scythe the whole time.
Mini scythe is good, and probably better than mini me. Okay, so for this next segment, we are talking about herbs, and I am all about herbs because I like them, most of them. So I want to start talking about, first of all, at the shop we call it goat's rue, and it's actually also called devil's shoestring, which goes with both road opener and uncrossing work. And typically, if you see it in a botanica, you'll see it called abragamino herb, or abragamino yerba, or I'm terrible at Spanish grammar. But this is actually frequently used as sprinkled on candles or carried as a charm, especially when you see it in stick form. And this one is more of the sprinkling type herb because we do that with the candles here. But typically devil's shoestring will be look like little branches, and
Yes.
you can actually traditionally wear it around your ankle as a way of breaking any tricks you might walk over, which would be
Nice. I like that.
curses laid for you, or actually lighting it above doorways and over windows, also as a way of breaking up negative energy coming at you. So it's one of my favorite herbs ever. Don't ever ingest it. It is not a happy thing in your stomach. I think it might actually kill you, so don't do that.
Oh my God.
But as for actual magical use, it's the bee's knees. I love devil's shoestring or goat's rue. The other one to go with then is rue, which is, okay, so you know how some people love cilantro or hate it because there's a genetic thing where it tastes like soap? Rue is kind of that way with the smell. Most people either love it or hate it. I'm a little odd in that I'm neutral about it, but it's because my introduction to rue happened in context with some of its allies. Because rue is traditionally combined with eucalyptus for something we call reversal spells. And this is basically when the fit hits the shan, you want to do a reversal to get that stuff out of the fan. So that's what reversal work is for, and rue is a big part of that. Rue is also good. It's actually really good for healing, protection, prosperity.
It will do, if you're friends with rue, you tell it what you want it to do and it'll work in that direction.
Yeah.
So if you were in a pinch putting your herbs together,
yeah,
and you're missing an ingredient, then you can ask rue to fill in that position.
And if you want to work with rue, and I was actually talking to Storm about this earlier today, certain herbs make friends with each other. So, for instance, I happen to have some Dittany of Creek next to my Damiana on my herb shelf, and they've informed me they're dating. I don't know how this works.
And what are they going to come out with?
They're both dried herbs. I don't really want to know.
If you see a new jar pop up in between, I want you to bring it in and for the show.
Maybe a tonka bean? I don't know.
Okay.
So, but for rue, because it does have certain allies within the plant kingdom, so it really it's telling me right now it likes chamomile for soothing things. I've seen it work well with vervain and eucalyptus.
Yes.
Especially because vervain's another I get along with everybody herb. And so, and myrrh is similar to that too, is that myrrh gets along with everybody. But it's really expensive, so maybe go with the vervain or the chamomile, but something chill and laid back, basically. So, again, rue, really cool stuff, really frequently used herb.
Okay, I'm going to talk about hyssop, and this is hyssop. And I would say that about 3 or 4 years ago, I ended up using hyssop as, because I have a shower and I didn't have a tub at the time, of making like a tea like you would for brewing your own tea. So you put some in a tea ball and stick it on the pot of boiling water and let it boil away, and then I would let it cool, and I'd pour it into like a jug, plastic jug for the shower, and then I would pour some over my head like a final rinse to clear away any negativity, and it worked really, really well, really well. I've added other items to it because we were talking earlier about what do you do if you don't have a bathtub. So I've added nettle, and I've added jasmine as well to bring in love, clear away the energy and bring in some love.
So also hyssop is associated with the biblical Psalm,
Yes.
Psalm 51.
Yes.
It was, I think, was it wash me with hyssop and I will be clean, and then I can't remember, but something, and I will be whiter than snow.
Yeah, it's a spiritual cleanser.
And also, hyssop is actually one of my favorite go-to herbs when I'm ill because it helps with the cough. So usually I will make a decoction of about a tablespoon of hyssop with clove, and then usually mullein because that helps the lungs. And the clove will actually numb that itch in the back of your throat that gets in there. And that's a really effective cough tea that I found.
Oh, that's really good. I mean, do you sip it then?
You sip it slowly.
Okay.
You try to, if you're really sick, I will do up to 7 cups a day if I'm really sick. If it's a minor cold, no more than 3 cups a day, because again, you got to watch the dosage.
Yeah, you don't want to overdo it. So
So-
but yeah, that's hyssop.
Yeah, and these are the more exotic spices. There are actually herbs and spices that you probably already have in your kitchen that you don't even think about. And Leah's brought an example of that.
This is cinnamon powder.
Here, I'll hold it up.
Thank you very much.
Cinnamon.
And cinnamon is a wonderful herb and spice, and it's something that I'm very fond of for use in my working. Cinnamon's good for love and money, cleansing, protection. It's a lovely, wonderful herb to work with. And herbs like cinnamon are very easy to come by. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go to the grocery store and buy some.
Yeah, cinnamon and basil are 2 of my favorites to work together
Yeah.
too, because like basil is another prosperity protection herb.
and it's a wonderful example of an herb that's good for both love and money. And typically, if something's good for money, it's also good for love because it's a very similar energetic signature. And
Yeah.
a good rule of thumb with pretty much any spice in your cabinet that you would use for cooking, if you would put it in a cookie, you can use it for love or money.
At about the same proportion.
Yes.
Yes.
So think about what it would be like in one cookie, not the whole batch. And so something I actually like to use cinnamon for is when I'm having a party is I'll burn some cinnamon incense or put some in the fireplace. Like I'll actually get the cinnamon sticks and burn those like mini logs because it helps encourage a convivial atmosphere. So, you know, gets people a little stimulated in the good way.
Yeah, it's great during the winter when you are having people over and it's cold outside, and then you can put like a mulling. So you can take all of the spices together with the cinnamon and you can put them on top of the stove and just let them boil.
And a cinnamon stick makes an excellent magic wand.
Yes, yes it does.
In a pinch, cinnamon sticks work
And a
very
smudge.
well.
You can use it as a smudge too, but you have to move fast. So
Very fast. This is Winifred.
Winifred says hi.
yes. And Leah wants to adopt Winifred, which is one of our shop poppets.
Yes. Yes, Chaz made Winifred. He's really awesome at it,
Yeah.
actually. And I've been secretly playing with Winifred whenever I get a chance and saying hi when I'm in the shop. But I know I'm gonna bring Winifred home. Poppet is sort of like a charmed teddy bear. It's basically been sewn with a lot of love inside. You know how, like, if you go to Build-A-Bear and you put like a little heart inside or things like that. Well, you can do this with Magick too. You can basically take a design and make a doll, or it could be an animal, or it doesn't even need to be all that. Doesn't need to have that much of a form if you're not particularly awesome at sewing. But you basically stuff the poppet with what you want. So Winifred is charmed for love, and you can make a poppet charmed for protection. You can make a poppet charmed for wisdom, which is one I would definitely like to use. You can make one for eloquence in case you need to be on YouTube and would like to know what to say. There's just a lot of different things. The sky's the limit, but you're basically creating an animated being that's purpose is to help you in a specific way, and feeding it and building it with what you want it to be able to do.
Yes. And so what is the best care and feeding for a poppet? Do you have any opinions? Okay.
Yes. When I make poppets, I like to use Florida water. So Florida water is going to come in more than once. And this is Florida water. It's a traditional cologne, actually.
And it's highly alcoholic.
It's
So
a very alcoholic. Now, Winifred's going to be a little tipsy, but
Love drunk,
you can
yeah.
do that, or you can use rum. You can use any kind of alcohol in that sense. But Florida water, or you can use essential oils that may pertain. So the appropriate essential oil. I would use rose
yeah, rose is
essential
great.
oil for a love, or a jasmine.
I love
would be
jasmine
good.
I actually like verbena for a more gentle type of love. Cinnamon, if you want to heat things up, but use that very carefully because there's no getting rid of it once it's in there.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. But any one of those things, and you would feed it on Fridays, like pick a day of the week. And,
Yeah.
and Friday for love,
Yeah.
Freya. So Friday
Yeah.
would be a wonderful day to feed a love puppet.
Yeah, because Freya and Venus like to hang out that day, and it's kind of the day to take work to them.
Yeah. So you would tell Winifred, I would love that you would go and get me or bring in more true love into my life.
Yeah.
And then you tell her, you name your own doll, you would tell her exactly what it is that you're wanting, and then you feed them, and then you let them do their work. That's it.
Okay. And actually, let's talk about,
You want to do this one too?
yeah, I'd like to talk about,
This is a blessing doll.
yeah, blessing doll is also called a corn dolly, which can be specific to especially Wiccan traditions, and it goes back to what I was talking about earlier with the Divine King.
Hold it up.
Yeah, this one's actually, I think it looks like it's actually made from a sheaf of corn.
Yes, it is.
In the UK, a corn dolly would be made from wheat because corn is a general name for all crops in Europe.
Oh,
So it's a generic name. Yeah, I found this out when I went there. It was very confusing for a while. But it's actually represented as the corn mother or the wheat mother is in European pagan traditions, like the really old ones. They actually thought that the spirit of the crop was alive and may have resented being eaten. And so
that makes perfect sense.
yeah, I'd be ticked, especially if nobody said thank you to me after they ate me.
Yes.
So I always stop and thank my food. It does bite me back less. But what they would do is to encourage a crop for the next year is they would actually make a dolly out of the corn And sometimes they would parade her around, or depending on the part of Europe, they would fill her with stones to make for a heavy crop the next year, or they would actually give her a place of honor at the banquets. And so this is an expression of that, where they're blessing dolls now, and I think this one's made specifically, I think
This is an ancestor one.
Yeah.
But what you have in here is a roll up of a scroll, which also represents for money. So this would be a prosperity. It's being called an ancestor offering doll.
Yeah.
She's got some sage on the back, and you would write your own personal, what it is that you're looking for here, what you would like to divine for, and then when you're ready on a full moon, you would place her in the fire and you let the fire consume her.
Yeah.
This one, you don't do that with.
Yeah, you do not set fire to Winifred. We will take that
No.
personally.
The corn dolls, you do. That's the purpose of it. It's all natural.
Yeah, you carbonize them, and the carbon goes back into the earth and becomes part of the soil again.
There you go.
Okay, for this next segment, now that we got me to quit licking them, we're talking about crystals. And so let's start with the selenite wands.
So selenite is a wonderful cleansing stone. It's also very water soluble. It's a salt-based crystal, so do not put it in water because it will dissolve at the very least. I did that once to one of my crystals. I knew I shouldn't. I did it anyway, and I was very young. What can I say?
I don't have that excuse. I was completely melted one once.
But people love selenite because, like, if you pick up a lot of negative energy in your aura, you can run it over yourself, and to cleanse a space, and which is a wonderful alternative to, like, sage or smudging if you just live in, like, say, a hotel, or if you're just living in a place where people just cannot put up with it.
Can you demonstrate how you would use it to do that? Like you said on me.
Okay.
Okay.
So, like, I would basically run it through. If I was scanning, I would use my left hand. If I was projecting, I would use my right hand because I'm right-handed. You just, like, sort of run it over people.
It feels funky.
A little bit, yeah.
A little prickly on the skin.
A little prickly, but, your aura feels so refreshed afterwards. It's a lot of fun.
And I've also been reading today, so I do get a benefit from this.
Mm-hmm. And I'm a Reiki practitioner. I'm a Reiki master teacher, so I would use Reiki symbols where appropriate and when appropriate. You can use it to draw other symbols if you're in other traditions. There's, anything that you could do with a normal wand. Selenite tends to focus on cleansing. People like it because it's very good with electronic technology, like energy.
Oh, so you could use it for the computer
Yeah,
without messing with the computer.
Yeah.
I'm going to put mine next to the computer then.
So I like to use quartz crystals for clarification, and I've used selenite by accident for dream magic, but it really does create really vivid dreams. So, but again, don't stick it
How
in
would
water.
you clean that?
In my case, I would use probably salt and just sprinkle some salt over it, and then just wipe it off, or I put it in my Himalayan salt block that I call my recharging station. So, and then just let it hang out for a couple of days. And I'm assuming because it's moon associated, selenite is named for Selena, which is a name for the moon goddess, that putting it in moonlight or letting it charge through the moon cycle would be really good for it too.
I'd agree with that. You could also use energy to clean it. If you do Reiki, you could use Reiki to clean it. If you also do any kind of fire breath, you could draw a cleansing symbol on the roof of your mouth and then pretend you're a dragon and then just sort of cleanse all the negativity right out of it. It's lots of fun.
That sounds like good stuff. Okay. So, next.
Okay, next, because, I'm basically the 12-year-old in the show, I got the closest equivalent I could to magical Legos. So this is magnetic hematite, which
Everybody
has been
wants some.
treated with titanium. Yeah, nothing broke. And so the reason I love this one is hematite is awesome for grounding. So when you've got too much excess energy, or you're just like, flying off the planet from inside your head out, hanging out to one of these and imagining yourself coming back to your body and coming back to the earth and bringing in the excess or whatever's got you flying around, going there and becoming an anchor for you is really useful. Now, one of the other things that's fun about this is this magnetic hematite, which means that, so this way it comes together and this way it pushes apart. Now, it's up to your imagination how you want to use that. If you want things that are All right, so you've got two people that are constantly in conflict. Take, one of each stone, and you've decided the situation is to get them to move away from each other, or to at least to like turn their attention to something else. Then concentrating on that with the pushing apart and having them move away, that's something that you could actually use to relay out. Now, the other thing I like for hematite, and this is so cool because it just does this thing. It flies. Anyway. So the other thing you can do with
And we did say it's grounding. It's very grounding.
Unless you're me and I'm basically 12. So when someone is suffering from an illness, just resting with some hematite, and it doesn't need to be magnetic. Don't do it if they have a pacemaker, obviously, but if they don't, letting it rest over the spot that, as it goes to my necklace.
You are 12.
I actually did this with braces once, so yeah, I'm shameless. But if you put over the spot where you're suffering from illness, then it will actually absorb the energy out of it.
Does it draw it out?
It draws it out. Now the problem is, if you've got a lot of illness, these stones can actually fill up, so you have to recharge them. So crystals actually can and do get tired.
And I've seen them crack and break.
Yeah, so which is why I like to have my Himalayan salt block and let them recharge, and otherwise I get to do things like this because it's fun.
Look what I can do! Look what I can do!
I think crystals like to have fun too.
Yes,
they like whimsy.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
and I am full of it. So on so many levels.
Not adding to that. Not gonna add to that. Not even gonna go there. Moving along. Woo, pretties. Okay, so this one is a citrine
that I did not lick.
This is one she hasn't licked yet. You better hurry on. Come on down to Mystic Dream and get this one. She hasn't done anything.
I'm not actually licking the crystals.
No.
Because my bosses watch this. But anyway.
No, but
it's
citrine.
all about camera angles.
Citrine is a fantastic. This is one of my favorite stones, by the way. So I'm just going to hold it up so you can take a look at it. I don't know if you can see the golden coloring in it, but it's perfect for clearing your energy and also for bringing in positive energy into the power chakra, into your third chakra right about here. And I wear one, which I'm not going to take, well, I guess I could, which is a much smaller version, otherwise I would be the hunchback. And that one's mine. And you can program crystals, which I don't know if we discussed or not, but you can program them just for you.
Yeah.
So if you're wearing something like this, then after I have cleared the energy and it's now mine, then I hold it together, I put my intention in, and I ask it to do what I would like it to do, which is to, bring me back my clients,
Yeah.
So after my clients have done a reading, that, if they're pleased and happy, which they usually are, to come back to me. And so it also creates prosperity. My favorite part of this crystal is that, like I said, it clears energy. So if I've cleared my space at home, I can put 4 crystals, one in each corner, and you don't have to clean these. This is, one of the ones, I'm sorry, that one's a tiger eye, but you don't have to clean these at all to worry about that. So once they're set, they're set. You certainly want to dust them off, recharge them a little bit, but you don't have to worry about cleaning them. They're not gonna get filled up and die on you or anything.
Citrine and amber are both self-recharging stones. Like, I actually wear an amber ring. And this is actually partly because I'm Polish American, so it's part of Slavic ancestry, is that amber's kind of a big deal to us. Mm-hmm. And again, this one I wear because it helps keep my health stable, because I do have health problems. So this is actually a rejuvenating health thing, but it's also a continuous recharge, so which also helps quite a bit.
Yeah, but, it's good to wear stuff that can recharge itself, so you don't have to worry about it.
Can I say something about citrine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really good with any kind of epithelial tissue, which is like your skin, your digestive system, very good for re-energizing. I would say amber is very good for that too, because they're growth stones. They're about growth and abundance.
Yeah.
And so when you have to recharge a lot of cells very quickly, it's good for it.
Yeah. Go online to book an appointment with Christine, Diana, or other members of the Mystic Dream Psychic Guild at themysticdream.com. Devin Hunter's book, Modern Witch's Book of Power, is now available at the Mystic Dream, or at your favorite metaphysical retailer.